What is cannabis and why has it become such a public issue? This presentation is brought to you by Global Cannabinoid Solutions. In the United Kingdom, it is currently illegal to possess, grow or distribute cannabis. Those found guilty can face a maximum jail sentence of 14 years. Cannabis is the most frequently seized drug in the UK, and despite the prohibition of cannabis, British authorities made over 108,000 seizures of the drug, amounting to over 30,000 kilos of cannabis. Amongst these drug seizures, there is little to no discretion between patients seeking the medical benefits and the criminals seeking profit. Despite cannabis being prohibited in the UK is in fact the largest distributor of medical cannabis globally, producing approximately 95 tons in 2016 alone. Although cannabis use and possession is currently illegal, 15.8% of 16 to 24-year-olds consumed cannabis within the last year. This equates to roughly 1 million adolescents. 6.9% of 16 to 59-year-olds also used cannabis in the last year, which equates to roughly 2.1 million people. Why are hundreds and thousands of people across the UK risking prosecution in order to use cannabis? To explore this exact question, a nationwide survey was conducted by a British research group exploring the underlying reasons behind the public's use of cannabis. In addition to its recreational use, cannabis was reportedly being used to treat over 30 different diseases and symptoms. 2,145 people responded to this survey, of which 25% were using cannabis for chronic pain, 22% for multiple sclerosis, 22% for depression, 21% for arthritis, and 19% for neuropathy. Clearly, there is a significant population in the UK using cannabis medically. This same trend is seen internationally, with global use steadily increasing. Despite this, however, the UK has some of the strictest cannabis laws in the world. So what is it in cannabis that has generated so much media fear and despair? Cannabis, like all plants, contains a spectrum of elements ranging from oils to pigments. It wasn't until 1964 that Gayoni and McCullum discovered that THC was the active molecule in cannabis. Since the identification of THC, we have identified several families of therapeutic molecules in cannabis. There are three major therapeutic constituents in cannabis: phytocannabinoids such as THC, terpenes such as limonene, and the flavonoids such as canephlavin, which are responsible for the production of odours and flavours. The presence of terpenes and flavonoids has been known to augment the efficacy of phytocannabinoid treatments, and so for this reason, oils containing a broader spectrum of terpenes and flavonoids are often sought by patients for this entourage effect that this combination of elements produces. The entourage effect is argued to be a more potent therapeutic combination in medical literature, which has been demonstrated in studies exploring the anti-cancer properties of cannabis extracts in colon cancer cells. Cannabinoids exist in three forms. First discovered in 1964, phytocannabinoids are the main therapeutic constituent of cannabis. We now know there are more than 90 varieties of phytocannabinoids. Mammals are highly tolerant to phytocannabinoids, and highly concentrated doses of phytocannabinoids have been shown to be non-lethal. In toxicology studies, THC was administered to monkeys and dogs at concentrations of 3,000 milligrams per kilo, which were non-lethal. This is the human equivalent of eating approximately 21 kilograms of cannabis. By comparison, the lethal dose of caffeine is just 350 milligrams per kilo. Interestingly, phytocannabinoids share unique properties with a family of molecules naturally produced by the body. The endogenous cannabinoids, or endocannabinoids, are used by the body to regulate the communications of the body's many millions of cells. Endocannabinoids are just one part of a complex regulatory system that balances and maintains all cellular signaling within the human body. As research has progressed into phytocannabinoids and endocannabinoids, New synthetic cannabinoid molecules were designed and produced artificially by chemists to explore the endocannabinoid system. These synthetic cannabinoids are often based on THC and can be drastically more potent. This lack of psychoactivity has resulted in CBD becoming the most well-researched of these molecules, demonstrating massive therapeutic potential. There are over 100 different phytocannabinoids. However, THC and CBD are the two most abundant in nature. THC and CBD are two very similar molecules that differ ever so slightly in structure. This means that the two molecules share numerous chemical characteristics with one another. One of the few things that classically distinguishes THC from CBD is their psychoactivity. Both molecules exert their effects via the CB1 receptor. However, THC and CBD bind at different positions on the CB1 receptor, causing the molecules to exhibit slightly different effects. THC is considered a full agonist and binds directly to the main active site of the CB1 receptor. This binding activates the CB1 receptor, and it is this reaction that produces the psychoactive effects of THC. CBD binds to the same receptor, but at a different location. This is known as an allosteric site. This allosteric site enables CBD to alter the receptor's sensitivity to molecules such as THC. This gives CBD the capacity to negatively modulate the potency and psychoactivity of THC. Although THC and CBD are the two most commonly discussed molecules, over 120 other phytocannabinoids have been isolated from cannabis. Each of these phytocannabinoids have their own unique effects in the body and may bind to their own unique receptors, which are yet to be identified. The CB1 receptor is just one member of a far larger receptor group that utilizes endocannabinoids to form an internal regulatory system. This signaling system is known as the endocannabinoid system, and this will be discussed in a future presentation. Many pharmaceutical companies are now trying to explore this endocannabinoid system in order to design future medicines that can manipulate it therapeutically. The UK currently has very limited access to cannabis-based medicines, but has approved 2 drugs for use in the NHS. One of these drugs is Sativex, a THC and CBD-based spray that is currently approved for the treatment of spasticity associated with multiple sclerosis. In a clinical trial, a study of 941 MS patients showed that 80% of patients were able to derive benefit from the use of Sativex. Similarly, Nabilone is a synthetic cannabinoid approved to treat nausea and neuropathic pain. Although both of these drugs are approved for use in the NHS, several factors make both drugs rather inaccessible to the public, causing many patients to desperately seek alternative treatment sources. Many patients turn to over-the-counter cannabidiol products, which are plagued by false claims and mislabeling. These products are often riddled with impurities and are regularly found to contain an alarming variety of contaminants, including pesticides, heavy metals, and funguses. Although our knowledge of these medicines may be decades behind, cannabis and the endocannabinoid systems possess tremendous therapeutic and economic potential. These medicines have demonstrated great promise in diseases such as cancer and arthritis, and as our knowledge of these medicines broadens, we may well develop a whole new branch of cannabinoid medicine. The UK cannabis industry is still in its infancy, and despite its legality, the industry is set to be one of the fastest growing global markets. Global Cannabinoid Solutions aims to cultivate this industry through expanding public awareness and knowledge. Global Cannabinoid Solutions are pioneers of cannabis innovation and leverage their web of industry experts to deliver tailored solutions to businesses and investors across the globe. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Should you require further information or have questions regarding the content of this video, please post your questions below, or follow the links below to find out how Global Cannabinoid Solutions can optimize your business.